In today's video, I am sharing what I packed my kids in their school lunch boxes this week. These are not themed lunches, this is just everyday easy lunchbox ideas. If you're interested in seeing themed lunches, check out the video I uploaded right before this that had Halloween themed lunch boxes. I will leave it linked in the description box below. So getting started with the first lunchbox for this week, I'm going to start off by preheating the thermos with some boiling hot water, closing that up and letting it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes until we are done packing the sides. For her first side, I'm packing some cucumbers and just cutting them into a more bite-sized piece. And then moving on to some strawberries for today's fruit, cutting those up into smaller sizes as well. Now, none of the lunches in today's video are super big lunches because my daughter always complains that lunch is too short at school. So this is just enough for her to eat and probably bring some leftovers back home as well. Now that the thermos is all heated, I'm going to dump out the hot water and dry out the inside, wipe it all down so that the food is not soggy. For today's lunch, I'm just packing leftovers from dinner last night. I'm packing in some butter Parmesan noodles as well as some chicken thigh pieces for some added protein. She's also getting an Honest juice box for her drink today, and then for her treat, I'm just adding in a box of Nerds. I absolutely love packing leftovers from dinner for their school lunch the next day. It makes it so much quicker and easier, and I don't even need to think about it. Now, packing this all into a lunch bag, adding in a cute napkin, and adding a lunchbox joke. Today's joke is, why did the giraffes get bad grades? And the answer is, he had his head in the clouds. Now, moving on to the next lunchbox for this week. For this one, I'm going to preheat the thermos as well and closing that all up, and I'm going to keep working on the sides while we wait. For her side today, I am packing an apple. If you're curious on how to keep an apple from browning when you pack it for your kids, I have done a few videos on this. I will also leave it linked down in the description box below. I tested out some methods and found which one worked best. Now, adding my Omie dip containers for their sides. With the apples, I'm also going to be packing in some broccoli on the side, dumping out this hot water, wiping it all down once again. And then for today's meal, I am adding some white basmati rice and topping that off with some ground beef. This is for the protein in there. And I'm just gonna actually give it a good mix to make sure that every bite she's getting both the rice and the ground beef and is not picking at just one or the other. Now, my kids will not eat this meal if they don't have soy sauce. They love soy sauce right now, so we're topping it all off with some soy sauce. And then for her treat, she's getting a Kit Kat. And then for her drink, she's getting the Honest juice box in the flavor apple. Ground beef and rice is a meal that we have once a week in our house. So I know my kids eat it and they like it. So I know she will finish this whole thing when she brings it home today. Adding these into this cute furry lunch bag. And then I'm also adding this container that has both a spoon, a fork, and a knife in it, and just adding that into the side since it's very slim. For her napkin, she's getting a Minnie Mouse one. And today's joke are, why are cats so good at playing video games? And it's, they start with 9 lives. Moving on to the third lunchbox for this week. For this one, I am also going to be adding in some hot water and letting that sit. Now moving on to the main meal. While that heats up, I'm gonna warm up these waffles and pancakes. Today's lunch is a breakfast for lunch theme. My daughter requested that I pack this today. Now, since it doesn't have much protein, I decided to add this yogurt. It has 18 grams of protein in it. So I'm gonna be adding this onto the side. This is just plain non-fat yogurt. And then adding in some raspberries for today's fruit. Now I'm gonna go ahead and dump out the thermos and dry it all out. And now that the waffle is done, I'm gonna cut it into smaller bite-sized pieces so that they fit into the thermos. I'm gonna be layering the waffle, this is the strawberry waffle, down at the bottom of the thermos and then topping it with the chocolate chip mini pancakes on top. This is why I absolutely love having a lunchbox that has a thermos built in. It really gives you much more options when it comes to packing lunches. Now in this mini container on the side, I'm adding in some maple syrup for her to dip her pancakes and waffles into. For her drink, she's getting a juice box, and then for her treat, this little mini Reese's cup. Now, working quickly here so that I can reseal the thermos before all of the heat comes out. Closing this all up and adding it into this unicorn lunch bag, and topping it off with a bluey napkin for today. And today's joke is, what do you call a dog with a fever? And it's a hot dog. We just started with Lunchbox jokes this year as opposed to notes, and my daughter has really been enjoying them every day. Moving on to the fourth Lunchbox. For this one, we're actually not using the thermos. Today we're making a sandwich. So we went with this rotisserie seasoned chicken breast. We typically go with honey turkey breast, but we wanted to try something new, and I gave my daughter a slice before going to school today, and she liked it just to make sure, because I do not want her hungry in case she didn't like it. But she approved it, so we're packing it, and I cut it in half so it's easier for her to hold. Now moving on to the sides, I am adding in a red bell pepper. Now I'm not packing the entire bell pepper into her lunchbox, but I thought I might as well chop it up and keep the leftovers for later on. And then I'm going to be peeling this clementine, mandarin, tangerine, whatever you want to call it, and I'm adding this to the lunchbox. These are both going into the Omie dip containers on the sides here, and then adding in her juice. And for her treat today, I'm adding in this box of Milk Duds. I love how quick this lunch was to pack. Packing sandwiches is always such a quick thing in the mornings. Moving on to packing it into the Daisy lunch bag, adding in a cute watermelon napkin. And today's joke is, what is a frog's favorite cold drink? And it's a Coca-Cola. Moving on to the fifth and final lunchbox for this week. We are actually going to preheat today's thermos, adding in that hot boiling water and closing it all up. While that heats up, I'm going to start off with the sides. For today's sides, I'm adding in some red grapes as well as some carrots. I wanted to stand the carrots up. I think it looked kind of better that way. And then now that the thermos is all heated up, I'm going to go ahead and dump it out, wipe it all down so that the food does not get soggy. And for today's lunch, I am packing her some chicken nuggets, but I do not want them to get soggy, so I'm folding up this paper towel, placing it at the bottom so that it could absorb any extra moisture or condensation that happens in the thermos while they are in there. Adding in her juice, and today's treat is a Laffy Taffy, which means I guess today's lunchbox will end up having more than one joke, since the Laffy Taffy has jokes on it as well as her lunchbox note. So closing up the thermos so that the heat does not escape, placing all of this into this other fuzzy llama lunchbox. And I'm also going to be adding in this Barbie napkin. And today's joke is, what kind of bee can't make up its mind? And it's a maybe. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.